pause. Okay, so just to give you a clue, we're looking really at capturing two images from our SketchUp model. One of the courtyard, because that's a really distinctive feature of the design. And then I was talking with David, an exterior view and possibly a little bit elevated. We have the advantage that we're working with a computer model. They couldn't afford, when they took photographs of this building, a crane, or they didn't bother using a drone. So we can do a more aerial perspective. And I just wanted to share with you what this should look like. And I'll probably also just give this as an example about how much furniture to put in. So let me just share that. And that is tons of stuff here. So this is an aerial perspective. And this is showing, put in a few of the umbrellas, more tables and chairs around on the terrace, a few, bits of lounge furniture. We don't want to overpopulate it, but this, gives us an overall idea of the way the design lays out, its different components. And then we can take this into Photoshop and really give it life. So this is, we're looking at this and then one view in the courtyard, and I'll talk about exporting your image files in a little bit later. Okay, so let me stop share and go back. Share screen. Wrong one. I have too many files open. Okay. So I'll leave you to have fun with furniture, but not too much fun, as we've been mentioning. Just enough to give it a scale and a feeling for this. The other thing is that, if possible, unless that you have some mistakes in your model, oops. Let me just put this on. You should be able to turn off these imported layers from AutoCAD. Okay, and I'm just going to update this scene. I'm right-clicking and hitting update. Okay, a couple tweaks, and you want to be kind of careful with this, is styles. And the way, and we might keep it like this. It's a little bit busy. I have changed this, so if we go under styles, this changes the way that the image is displayed. And I am going to switch this. We could okay, and one of the things that I want to do is a really quick look at this. There's some overly heavy lines, at least I feel, for what we want to do in Photoshop. So I'm going to go to Edit in this. I'm going to turn off profiles, and I'd actually like a call from David about which is better, profiles off or on, if you can even see the difference. Here, it just shows all the lines the same consistent thickness. Before, when they were actually an edge, like the top of this was meeting the sky, it was a slightly heavier line.
I think I like it lighter.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, I mean, they're both good, but I do like light for some reason.
Yeah. So I would just go in, turn off go to edit and edge settings. There's other things you can play around with, like you don't like a blue sky, you want a Martian sky that's orange. You can do that. But that's the main thing. So, and then I'm going to update this style. So that just makes it a little bit lighter.
And I think it's appropriate for the thinking about the final image as a light, airy, and when I was talking about my previous classes in the Photoshop work, and once you said to me, Michael, that it was very saturated, and I was like, yeah, that's the issue. It's too saturated. So I think like just lightening the mood of the whole final product would be nice.
Yeah, I mean it's tempting because I'm torn because I think for this project, the aesthetics of this, something light.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The real contrast and the drama is the landscape around it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this very light, spacious,
Mm-hmm.
clean building in this very dramatic landscape. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it's that contrast, that juxtaposition that makes this design, really finishes the design, makes it really rich.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple other things we can do, we can go to background settings, and I've turned off the ground. I've made the sky blue. You could make it another color. If I turned on the ground, it would be this strange green. I don't particularly like it, so I've turned off the ground. I'm trying to think. We really don't want to go crazy. There are all kinds of settings. SketchUp is on its own not photorealistic. It's deliberately meant to be schematic and like a sketch, but we're gonna manipulate it later. So that's a little bit about styles, and I'm just going to go in here into Courtyard and I'm going to update it. Okay, so I'd like to capture another view of this. So I'm going to go to isometric and zoom extents. Okay, and I'm really not where I want to be. So we can move this guy around on the outside deck, but I'm going to turn this, and it's going slow because of all the furniture. I might want to just go slow. If it's going slow because of the furniture, I'm going to turn it off for a little while, and hopefully that will speed things up. Yes, there we go. You can't tell this, but I'm experiencing a much faster time. So that's why you really want to put furniture on another layer, even just to temporarily turn it off. Because I'm working off of a fairly powerful computer, and it's really bogging down with all the furniture and the shadows. So I'm going to zoom in. And this is going to look a lot better when there's some furniture out here. I'm not going to do it now because I think you get the gist of it. And I'll show you, I've shown you what we want it to look like. And so I'm going to actually just do a zoom window. I need to go up higher. And I'm also going to change there. I think when you get a wider angle, you get too much perspective. I'm going to just change my camera for this new scene I'm creating. So I'm going to go into camera, field of view. And instead of 24 millimeters, I'm going to go to 35 millimeters. That's more like it. Do you see how it's less distorted? It's still in perspective, but it's not as distorted. And I'm just going to do another zoom window. Well, edit. Let me just, okay. So I think this is a really good overview. So this is probably a second image we would like you to capture. So I'm going to take this now and I'm going to create a new scene. So I'm going to go down to, I got a lot of sidebars here. I'm going to add a scene. I'm going to hit the plus button. It's called Scene 2. I'm going to rename it. And it's all the way down here at the bottom, Overview. Like I say, once you put some furniture out here, not too much, it could look a lot better. And you may also want to play with the sun angle. So these are saving us views. So I'm going to go back to Courtyard. And it's going to be slow because with Courtyard, the furniture layer was left on. So this will capture everything with this particular view. So I kind of like, I like the sun angle in this particular view. It's fairly high up. Let's just take a look at it. It is morning in September.
Michael, one thing kind of just to think about and talk about, not we don't have to do it right now, but the other view from above would be borderline impossible to populate with people.
It's true. Well, you could.
We'd have to find people
from that odd angle.
Yeah, looking from above them.
Right.
So just to say that, like, the final product would be, that one might be empty. So, like, you know, how would you finish it in Photoshop? Maybe it's just a standalone image without all the landscape, or just an empty building. I don't know. You know, so that's just something we could talk about more next week and think about.
Mm-hmm. And we could also look at just doing, except the building is kind of a little dull as far as elevation, but we could just look at an exterior view. Let me just get on my walking shoes here. This is while I've got the view that I want. Oh, I bumped into the this knows this. I bumped into the table, so I have to hit. Yeah, there we go. And now I'm going to turn around. And somehow my window frames got missing. So this could be a view. It could be a little more interesting if we get a little bit of furniture out here, but here's an eye level view of the building. And we might want to do that with the landscape. I mean, that's of course all the views that we have in the photographs are eye level views. And there's a view that's kind of similar to this. So, yeah, I mean, I'm a big protagonist. I like eye level views because that's how we perceive a building. We don't typically see a building from a helicopter or a crane or a drone. So, you know, we can look at that, but we'll look at how this would be exported in a moment. But I'm going to just add this. I'm going to add one more scene. Exterior. So now we've got 3 scenes. And I may have to do one thing in this. I'll make furniture visible. And I'm going to update. So these are all the different elements. What I wanted to do now is I've talked really briefly about styles, is how do we get this image out of SketchUp and into a presentation media, in this case, Photoshop. And let me pick the courtyard view, just for the heck of it. So I go.
A question. I'm sorry. A question very
Sure.
quickly. Which version of Photoshop do you have?
Well, I am running on my home computer Photoshop CS6, but on the computer I'll be demonstrating, and the one that you will have to get is going to be Adobe Creative Cloud 2020.
When you lease it, Paul, you don't have any choice.
No choice anymore.
I'm sorry. What? When you lease it, what?
You don't have a choice. It's not you don't choose from a menu of different Photoshop versions. When you get it from Adobe now and you lease it month by month, it's always the latest. We'll all have the same. Michael has an older version, it sounds like, as well. But
I do. I'm accessing all of it through this remote desktop. I'm connecting to a desktop at the college that's a lot more powerful and has all the up-to-date software. So the only one that you're going to be able to get is Adobe Creative Cloud. Get the student version, and that will be $20 a month. And you'll need all the software, InDesign and Photoshop and Illustrator. Maybe not every last piece, but that gives you access to all the programs. Okay. So we want to get this image out of SketchUp and into Photoshop. So we're going to file, and this will be the same, or should be the same. I should do this on SketchUp Make, but we go to File and we go to Export, 2D Graphic. And I really don't want to go to Downloads, if I can help it. I want to go into Presentation Techniques, Case Study 1. I got a lot of stuff in Case Study 1. And I'm going to give it Courtyard. Now, very important is I want to hit Options. And I want to put in, we want this to be a really good resolution. So 4,000 pixels, you could go even higher. You don't want to use, the default is the view size. That's not high enough resolution. So David and I recommend that you type in, instead of you can uncheck view size and type 4,000 for the width, number of pixels. This is like a high resolution photograph that you would take with a digital camera. You could make it higher, but this is usually a good thing. Check anti-alias and transparent background. Nice thing about PNGs is they can have a transparent background.
What does anti-alias mean? I've never known that.
Oh, well, that may be an additional feature which may only exist in Pro 2020, and that will soften like the edges where there's, so it'll add little bits of gray to make the edges and the lines look less stark.
Oh.
I could do it once without and once with it and see what we get.
What does alias mean? Is that a word?
Aliasing is interpolating. If you look at a curved or a diagonal line up close in a photographic image, it's going to be a series of little jaggies.
Okay.
This is anti-aliasing eliminates that, or tries to eliminate that.
Makes sense.
I don't think that option, however, is in Make. Transparent background is, but anti-alias I don't believe is in the version the students have. So I'm going to say, okay. and I'm going to hit export. It's going to take a while because it's a little bit of a high resolution image. Oh, this is taking a little longer. There we go. Okay. All right. I'm going to go take a look at that. We'll get to this in a minute. Okay. Too much stuff. All right. I'm going to go to my file folder. And I'm going to go OneDrive and presentation techniques and case study 1 and date modified. This should come up at the top, and it's a fairly big file. I'm going to click on it, and then usually you have to right click in Windows, right click, and I'm going to open this with Adobe Photoshop 2020. And there it is. And you see that checkerboarding? That actually is a transparent background. It's rendering the ground transparently. If we wanted it to include the ground, we could do it. And I just want to take a closer look at this. So let me just pull up. So you can see when we get in real close, these diagonal or curving lines are a little jaggy. A little extra gray in there is anti-aliasing that makes it look better, but we're zoomed in real close. So if I go into view and fit, we're not going to have to worry about that. Okay, so 4,000 is usually a good number to start with. Like I say, you could go higher, but let's be consistent with that. So back to SketchUp.
And that is very important to get that quality. And we'll discuss that when we get to Photoshop. But if you don't do it now, you'll be going backwards and redoing it because you don't want to proceed in Photoshop with a small image.
Yeah, so that's really important to note. That is, and we should put that forward as a note, is that when you go into those options, that's the one you want to look for, and you can do that in SketchUp Make. The other options may not be there, the transparent background. I'm just going to do the other images just for the heck of it, because it's pretty straightforward. So I'm going to go to the exterior. Okay, and I'm going to do File and Export 2D Graphic and outside. And just check my options again. I always want to make sure they're going to remain from the previous export. 4,000, that's what I want. And hit OK. And export. I don't really like the sun angle in this particular view. I might want to change it. I'd rather the sun be shining on the face of the building. It looks a little weird this way. And I think what I need to do is I need to move to later in the day. Yeah. Whoops. Wow. Or I could take another view. Okay. And then the last one. Oops. File, export, 2D graphic. I should double check options, but I just decided it's good. I'm just going to let it be. Okay, and go into this. Huh, that's weird. Oh, I guess because there's not much into that image. And again, it's placed, we're seeing the ground, it's placed a transparent background. Okay, so that is how you get an image out of SketchUp. I'm going to go back to the SketchUp model. And let me show you, really, we're going to complete SketchUp today, it looks like. As long as if there aren't questions from the audience. We may do a little bit more on Tuesday. Don't know why I keep saying that, but so I want to take the, we're going to now do diagrams with this image. And I want to refer you to the diagrams that came with the article. This one is so basic, I don't think we really need to do it. But these, the program and the circulation, I would like to do those. So let me just. Okay. So.
Just curious, Michael, before you dig into that, can you do like an all white version and they could put color in Photoshop?
Yes, that's a very good point. Let me show you.
Yeah, just as a,
That's,
to discuss it as an option, not that it should be that way, but because there's more colors in Photoshop and it's super easy.
Let's see, we could do solid colors. Why can't we do, let's see.
What does it look like in like hidden line or X-ray or hidden line? Is that not hidden line? The X-ray. Is that too busy and crazy? Yeah, I guess.
But if we wanted it to be white, oh, it's bogging down a little bit here on me. Okay, what I have to do is I have to change the background. So I'm going to go, I have to change my style. And I am going to create a new style. Sorry, this is a little more convoluted than I'd hoped it would be. I'm going to change my background instead to be white instead of gray. This should do the trick. There. So there you just get hidden lines with shadows cast. And you can apply all the color in Photoshop. So I had to do this one change here. Otherwise, it was going to all be gray, but now it's white, but it's casting the shadows and giving us the perspective. In this case, the furniture looks a little weird and busy, but that is one of the things that you could do.
You could turn off the furniture for the diagrams too.
That's what I'm going to do, yeah.
Yeah.
All righty. let's see how this goes. This was the one that I was going to practice a little bit over the weekend, but here we are on Thursday. So let me go back, and if I don't save these changes to this style, I'm actually going to add this scenes. I'm just going to duplicate this. I'm going to add a scene and rename and overview line drawing. You can get into really crazy styles that are like hand sketching. I don't think we want to do that. There's, as far as styles, I mean, I can show you really briefly. We can make it more look like it's a hand drawing. I'll just do this. We have a moment, styles. And I'm going to go to edge settings, and I am going to turn profiles on. I am going to turn depth Q on. Maybe not. Maybe not. Extensions. How much the lines kind of overshoot the ends, and I'm going to make those like 6. And endpoints, I'm going to turn those on. So you see how it's looking a little bit more like a marker drawing? I don't know if I love this look, but this is a potential that you could do so that it looks a little bit like it's been done with a pen or a marker. I'm just going to save this as another style. But I'm going to go back to, so that's an option. You get this non-photorealistic look. I'm going to redo there, where the lines are all even. Okay. So let me get exterior overview. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is we're going to look at a little bit of those the diagramming, and we may finish this up on Tuesday. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the furniture layer. I don't want to see the furniture when I do the diagrams. And I am going to actually, I'm going to save this. I'm going to save this as another file, so I suggest you do the same. File, save as. Case study 1, diagrams. And I'm going to save it also to this. Case study 1. Got a lot of SketchUp files here. Save. Okay, and because we're really keeping it abstract, I'm going to just triple click this guy. And I'm also going to apply a color to it, so it's just neutral. So this is now saved as a new file because I'm going to do other things with it. And I'm going to get materials. I'm going to select within this the home button, home, white. And I'm just going to paint this white. Okay. I'm going to go to camera now, and I'm going to turn on parallel projection. So we're going to get an isometric instead of perspective. And I'm just going to pan this thing down. And I'm going to make a copy of it. So I'm going to select and I'm going to tap the Option key. I mean the Control key. I always get that mixed up. We probably don't need shadows for the diagram, so I'm going to turn those off. Okay, so let me just use the reference image. Okay, here. So these are two diagrams of the building. One of them up here is showing public and private space, and the darker shading is the public space, and the lighter shading is the private space. So we're going to take the roof off, except over the courtyard. And down here, this is showing circulation. So the bright red is public circulation, and the golden color is private circulation. Follow me so far? Okay, good. So let's work with this. Remember, you're saving this as a new file. If you're following along with this, you've saved this as a new SketchUp file called diagram. Case study 1 diagrams.
Excuse me.
So I'm going to get in here. I'm going to hide. And I actually should keep this up as a little reference. Just collapse this. Size. I'll resize my SketchUp window so I can see them side by side. It's kind of like, what the heck am I doing? Okay. All right. Actually, I'm going to save this as a view, as a scene. Let me just stick this on the screen. Add a scene. Isometric. Okay, I'm also going to do another thing where I'm going to turn on some of the layers that I've turned off, but not the furniture layer. So I'm going to go into so-called tags, but layers everywhere else. And I am going to turn on. That's what happened with those guys. Those were on the dashed line layer. All right. Okay, and I'm going to do, let me update this. Okay, and I'm going to switch to a top view, and I am going to switch to X-ray view. Okay. So I'm going to fill in some of the boxes that are missing. And okay. Well, okay. Right. Oh, I forgot. That's one of the things. I realized there's something I want to do here. For the purposes of this illustration, I'm just going to pull up these guys to the full height of the space. So I'm going to push-pull this. Okay, and all right. That's what I need to do. I needed to pull up everything so it's essentially flush with the edge of the roof. And I'm going to turn this around. Or actually, I could just restore. All right, so something that I haven't gone over before, and I want to do now, is you can mix up your own materials in SketchUp so that you can create translucent materials from anything you already have. In this case, we're going to use just grays. So I'm going to take this guy, and I'm going to right click. Oh, I'm going to have to do this. It's a little bit different here. So I'm going to do this, or I'm going to mix a new material. That's what this guy is for. And I'm going to call it dark gray translucent. And I'm going to go down here, and I am going to make it translucent. And then I'm going to apply the color. Oh. And let me get back out of this. And actually that gray should probably be even darker. I can change that. Click on edit, and I'm going to make that darker still. Okay, and I'm also going to make the courtyard floor, whoops, that same color. So let me get back out of this. So can you see now it's getting to be closer to this guy? So I can mix any color I want. I'm going to make it another one where I'm going to make a new color, create material. Medium is a little bit different here. Medium gray translucent. And I'm going to make that a lighter gray. And now I'm going to put on the other spaces. I have to say okay. Oh. Let me take that back. And I am going to go back to materials, select in model. Okay. This is where I'm dealing with components here. So double click, and then I am going to put that on here and on here. Okay, so we're getting a lighter gray. And then I'm going to do it with these two. I'm going to do a very light gray. I'm going to make that quite light. And maybe a bit more opaque. So that's a kind of schematic. It's not absolutely perfect, but that sort of expresses the hierarchy from most public to least public. Is people still following me? Look, I really wanted to rehearse this over the weekend, but that's one of the things that we can do with this. It's not quite as pristine as the image we have if we go back to this guy, but it can be, so I've been trying to recreate this. It's a little more subtle. Okay, so let's do the other.
I guess it's like for that original one, it's nice, like the white lines on the black makes it nice and crisp.
I know, I can't do that.
You can't do the white lines.
I mean, I could probably, but not, it would be everywhere white lines.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, there's some limits. I mean, you know, that was really, it's either something we pick up in post-processing because I could make all, it would be, but all the lines would turn white.
Mm-hmm. But so where are you thinking about the color now? In SketchUp or in Photoshop?
Well, I think we can start with it in SketchUp.
Okay.
Let's try the circulation one. So that's over to here on the side. Oh, right. This was a component. I have to click on this. Okay, and I am. Okay, so I'm going to make this one pretty relatively simple, just to show the cross-axis of circulation. And this I'm going to use some color. So I'm going to pick up with creating a rectangle here. Do this. And I'm going to push-pull this through. And I am going to take that guy, and hopefully I can just select it because we've got components, and paint that bright red. And then I'm going to do a similar thing over here where I'm going to, and maybe actually I pull that out just a little bit in the front. I should have made it been more exact. And I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to push-pull this through. And I am going to paint that also red. Okay, and then I'm going to do a little bit in here where these backspaces oops, I forgot. And I'm going to mix a new color, in this case that yellow. I'm just going to paint it. Whoops, my mistake. Sorry, let me maximize my SketchUp window because otherwise.
I'm not at all suggesting that we do it, but like, if you wanted to create those little white lines, like, couldn't you just like offset and create like a little channel where that line would be?
The channel.
Like a, like, like if you, it's hard to describe it. Um, I could show you after. Maybe I'll open it and I could show you what I have in mind.
Okay.
It's not worth doing. It's not worth doing though, ultimately. But just as a
Oh,
rough,
okay.
yeah.
So let's see. I was just gonna finish this guy. Okay. And okay. This is not perfect, but it will do. Okay. And then I can make this, I'm going to make this color D3. I'm going to make it translucent. So I'm going to hit edit and I'm going to lower its opacity. Oh, wrong color. Let's see. All right. Almost home. Do the eyedropper tool. Edit. and make it translucent so we can begin to see through it. And make that translucent as well. And so I go to colors in model, select in model, and let me just take that out. Let's delete it. So I'm kind of sort of getting there. This is what I kind of wanted to do. It's not perfect yet. Let me just do a zoom extents. So it's all going to look great when we run through Photoshop. But I also want to turn off some layers here. So that's beginning to get it, but I'm not completely satisfied. I have more work to do, but I guess I'm nervous in front of an audience.
We have time on Monday, so.
Okay, so what this is the
Tuesday.
gist.
Tuesday. You got me saying Monday now.
Yeah, I know. So this is kind of the gist of it. Let me just hit that, and okay. So this is where I should have used my own model because this was a really nicely done model, I have to say. Abdullah did a very nice job with this. Used a lot of components, and so I'm not faulting his work at all. but I just realized, like, I knew how my model was constructed, but doing this kind of surgery to his caused me a little bit more aggravation. So I think what we get is a fairly good base. I would make a few changes here, but he did what I told everyone to do. He made everything a component, I think, which is good. But as I started to work with it and do surgery with it, I realized, oh, wait a second, this is connected to this and is connected to this. So it, yeah, I should have just used my own. You learn. And then what we'll do is we'll take this into Photoshop and label it. So public and private, all those other elements. But yeah, I think it's time for me to kind of sign off. Thanks for your patience. I was like, oh well.
Looks good.
And so I'll show you my own instead of this one, but at least as a final product. It's like a cooking show. I already went through making it and I have it all done, but so here it is. I guess what I really wanted to do, and this didn't make it look very easy, is that making three-dimensional diagrams in SketchUp can be really fast and easy. This one didn't turn out like that. But so a lot of times you may be encouraged to do 2D diagrams in your design studios, but you can actually, with SketchUp, you can do 3D diagrams that are working in 3 dimensions. So that's been a workout.
They could complement in a portfolio. I could imagine these complementing early diagrammatic sketches really nicely.
Yes, and particularly for stuff where you want to show your final diagrams. Like, it's really important. Students sometimes think diagramming is for the first part of your design studio, but you have to explain your design ideas. So this can be really nice next to your early, these kind of polished 3D, processed images can be really nice next to your sketched images. So we'll label it, we'll retouch it. I'll show you my version, which, oh, shush. What's that? Go away. So we may take a look at this diagramming on Tuesday, because this really goes with what we're going to do in Photoshop. And let's see here, where are my images? Here's my image. Okay, so here's mine.
So for Sunday, should we just do like the materials, of course, the doors, or do we need a diagram for Sunday? No diagram. No. Okay. So just the furniture placement and that's that.
Yeah, so get the furniture in, get the set up. So get the furniture in. I'll put it on our Canvas site. Place the furniture, set up at least 3 scenes. Make sure you have the deck material applied. If you don't, I can come in and do that. And that's about it. That will give us the base that we can then work from. So I think that's all I have for the moment. Any parting questions, remarks? And I'll of course post these.
Everybody's clear on Photoshop, getting that from Adobe?
Yeah, that's your big challenge. You got to get that by next Tuesday.
Yeah, we'll be up and running. All good? Okay, have a good weekend.
I already got mine. I got it Monday, I think.
Yeah. So Tuesday we'll have probably a half a class on Photoshop or something like that, but it's all really important in the beginning. You really don't want to miss early Photoshop. And it's true of all programs in general, but yeah, try not to miss.
Okay.
Have a good weekend then.
Okay, great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much. And I'll post these videos.
Thank you.
I have a little question, like a general question.
Yep.
Once that you create a component, can you like make it like
You can explode it.
Explode.
oh explode it? Yeah, how can I explode it?
I'll just show you.
It's left click and it's explode, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, just like that?
You don't want to explode components typically, but that's how you would do it. You want to keep things together, but that's how you would do it. You'd explode it.
But you could double click and edit it without exploding.
Oh, I can. Okay.
And make it unique. Like, let's just say, like, let me show you an example, like on my screen here. Let me say that I want to make these doors a little bit different than the other doors.
Mhm.
So here, they're a component. And let me just get that. So I'm going to select this guy. It's a component. Instead of exploding it, I'm going to do something different to it. I'm going to right click and I'm going to say, make it unique. And now it's not going to affect the other components. So if I start like moving this door, like let's say I want the doors to sort of close. Like that. The others don't change, but it's still a component.
Okay, got it.
So it's better like if you want to do something to one component, just make it unique.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, I'll do that then. Thank you.
All right.
See you. Bye.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend.
Bye. Thank you, Abdullah. This was a beautiful
Bye, thank
model.
you.
Just
Oh.
it's 3D models are really tricky because you did all the right things. You made everything into components, and for the most part it all worked. But I was like, you have your logic, so nice
Yeah,
job.
I don't know everything, but I always try.
So very nice work. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a good one. Thank you. See you.
You too.
Have a good weekend.
You too. Thank you.
Okay.
Can I show you super quickly, Michael, what I had in mind with that?
Yeah, just please.
You can see there.
Yes.
It was just, what did I call it? So I just offset these things, and then my thought was just like if you break it down like that, you could. And then, is there any way to extend a line, or do you have to add? So this would remain white, this little trough, and then in Photoshop we can make this a color.
I see what you mean. You mean
Yeah.
so the rim would be a color up here, or
Or this would be white, because we were saying like these nice white lines. That's what I was saying. I liked a lot. And then
no,
I
I
like,
understand.
yeah. So I mean, it would be tedious, and it's not worth doing in this class. But like this could be like a white, not that. We'd get rid of that line, and then we would complete this, and then the whole model could be white. So this would be a nice crisp white line, and then in Photoshop we could make these whatever we want to make them.
I see what you mean. So we're going to do a really thin band that will
Yeah,
be like
yeah.
a line.
That's what I was trying to.
I get you now.
Yeah, not worth doing, but
Yeah, it would be tricky. I'll take a look at that.
I'm not at all
I know what you
suggesting.
mean.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting it. Definitely not for the students. But I was just like thinking like between the two programs, there should be a way to do that, and that half might be easy in SketchUp that way. It depends on how much you got to do and whatnot. But
Yeah, now I think I've got it. But yeah, it would be now. Yeah, I understand. that we actually just put a little tiny face in there.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Not necessary or worth it for the students necessarily, but yeah, I was just wondering, like, one way to tackle it. Anyway, good work.
oh, thank you. I was like, I like I say, I realized like halfway through it was like I should have been using my own model and not Abdallah's. As good as his was,
Yeah,
it was like it had some really interesting quirks to it, you know, that
yeah,
were logical, but yeah. It's so funny with 3D modeling is like there's so many different ways. Everything can look the same and be constructed completely differently. Like, but CAD is CAD, you know,
yeah,
it's like there's a line. You know, the only thing can get a little confusing in CAD is that you can have a bunch of lines overlaying each other.
yeah,
But, you know, here it could be like it all looks the same, but, you know, one person has the components, the other person doesn't. And it's like,
yep.
I need a cocktail. No, it's
Yeah,
a little early yet.
a little. It's almost 5. You got 25 minutes.
There you go.
All right. Well, have a good weekend. I'll
Oh, yeah, you too, Dave.
yeah, and you got next week. You could relax a little more. I'll do Photoshop. So
I'm looking forward to it very much.
okay, I'll talk to you soon.
All right, great.
Bye.
Bye.